Leftover lasagna.
Leftover lasagna.
Lasagna? No way.
It's a type of sandwich.
Some kind of gross pasta. Leftover lasagna is a podcast
hosted
by my
Nitin
church.
Sundar and Tony Uncle. Leftover lasagna.
Very funny name.
Hello and welcome to Leftover Lasagna, the sporadically updated podcast, or should I say bro-radically updated podcast, run by two bros who radically alter the definition of publicly acceptable. A podcast that proves Brandolini's Law. Brandolini's Law was, of course, coined by Marlon Brando, whose lineage never gave him the appreciation he deserved, which led him to say, "What have I ever done to treat me to so disrespectfully?" Of course not, I'm kidding. Brandolini's Law is the internet adage that states the amount of energy needed to refute bullshit is an order of magnitude bigger than that needed to produce it. It is also known as the bullshit asymmetry principle. I am Tony, the bringer of bullshit. And joining me as always, the bringer of symmetry, the harbinger of hotness, the higher force of nature that fights my fire horse of immature. He refuses to go down in his pajamas, but is always up for a good time. Majama. The one and only Nitin Sundar. Say hi.
Hi, Tony. Thanks for keeping it civil for a change. By your standards.
Yeah.
It makes sense since I brought family to the podcast this time that you're keeping it civil because
Civil war not needed.
civil war not needed. To quote Marlon Brando, who you have already invoked, can't go against the family.
That only. This is a special episode because we have two more panelists who are joining us. We made them an offer they couldn't refuse. And they're usually not doing podcasts because while men put out podcasts, women are busy running the world. First up, she turned down a career in modeling and chose to be a role model instead. She turned down a career in ads and chose to be a badass instead. She was once such an icon at the flagship hotel in South Bombay that the Navy used her as a triangulation point to flag ships. The rogue who left behind Vogue to become a business leader. The last time this space geek was on Leftover Lasagna, the Earth had 2 moons and Sunita Williams was still stuck in space. Neither of those things are true anymore, but she's still stuck on this podcast. Say hello, Nisha Dhage.
Hello, glad to be here again.
Yo.
And rounding up the panel today, I tried to be a wingman to Nitin Sundar, but she owns both wingman and Nitin Sundar. The sass queen who rules the world of sass without any complaints. By which I mean you'll never hear her say, "Kyunki sass bhi kabhi boohoo thi." The fount of knowledge, the founder straight out of college, cleared the Tech Bell test and is here to help us beat the Bechdel test. The legendary Shruti Kapoor. Say hi.
Hi. Okay, I thought you were just going to take the shortcut and say sassy, but you went the long way.
Yeah, correct.
See, Sassy is just too much of a sitter for this podcast. So obviously Tony was not going to do it. But Shruti has other fashion angles also, right? So she's majorly into crochet these days.
Ooh, nice. I really like that.
Yeah. So she's knitted full-scale sweaters for friends and all of that, right?
Are you just saying she's really into knitting?
Wait for the punchline, no.
Oh shit!
She's knitting.
Yeah. When she's not knitting sweaters off, she is knitting's better half. So, of course. But
Oh, that is sweet. Yeah, come on. That is sweet.
recently, I should say this. Recently, Shruti went to a cricket match. She actually took her crochet set with her and she sat and was knitting in the stadium. Right. So, in a fully
Amazing.
packed stadium watching a big final, she's sitting and knitting.
What did you knit? Was
Amazing.
it a scarf?
It was a white top.
How sweet. How nice.
So clearly, you're not a stranger to complicated threads, which is what Leftover Lasagna is all about. But before we get into it, Nitin, for our long-term listeners, we have to clarify that this is episode 35, which is actually a supplementary to episode 34. This is, in a sense, a segue to the last episode. But let's bring in Nisha and Shruti onto the pod. Let's start with long-term listener of Leftover Lasagna, who's featured twice before. Nish, you had some interesting comments after listening to episode 34. Why don't we start there?
Yeah, I think the concept of hygiene and fashion is a little mixed up in you boys' minds. Bath good does not equate to dressing well. So I think that's the first thing we need to discuss. Yeah. So hygiene, essential. Doesn't matter whether you're working, not working, at home, doing school drops. You have to have a bath, brush your teeth, and wear your clothes. So now that we've got that bit out of the way,
Not if you're doing a bus drop, as Tony has already clarified.
I mentioned the bus drop for exactly that reason. The bus drop is very, very essential where you're completely dressed up. You may have a hot mom or a hot dad around, so you never know. But
Yeah.
please wear those clothes, whether it's
Yeah.
Lulumon or what? Lemon? What is it? Not
Lululemon.
Lululemon.
Lulumon lungis.
Lulumon is something.
I have a one-liner that illustrates the difference between this for men and women. There would be the occasional day when one of our women colleagues, I don't know, for whatever reason, have not worn eyeliner, and immediately I'd go up and ask, "Are you sick? What happened? Is everything
Exactly.
okay?"
Hence. That seems to be the only thing that people want to ask, are you okay? But yeah.
So, Nisha, I must clarify while talking about hygiene on the podcast, I vehemently stated that I don't use antiperspirant and I use deodorant. And I, I judged this fellow for using some random stuff. Later, after the podcast went up, I realized that the Nivea spray that I've been using is actually antiperspirant and not deodorant. I only read the fine print afterwards. So you must realize that when it comes to men, right, fashion, hygiene, you just said that these are two different concepts. For us, it is barely one concept. Forget two concepts blended into one because, yeah, we just go with whatever is there. At least I can speak for myself. I go with whatever is there. And Tony very often goes without what is there also.
Yeah.
Which is why we decided to do this episode.
The second thing Nisha mentioned was the color of Adam Sandler's hoodie, which apparently is not radioactive sky blue. Who knew?
He's none of those colors. Boys can't see color. That's the second thing.
Powder
that I'm
blue.
talking to. No. It was
Bubblegum
somewhere
blue.
on no, it was somewhere on the
You haven't seen the
turquoise
hoodie.
thing.
You're just taking a
Yeah,
guess
he's
at all
just-
the
No, I saw it. Hey, we played it on
We
the
played the clip. We
podcast,
played the clip.
so-
Yeah.
So you all
Yeah.
definitely can't see anything other than the primary colors. So that is
Yeah,
that is
absolutely.
another thing
Barely.
This is another interesting thing, right? How someone had pointed out, women have lovely fragrances, right? Which have descriptions to it, and men have concepts. It is like energy blue, or like if you look at our body wash or any of those things, the shower gels. Usually, it's like some concept, like active sports or something like that. Whereas you have like Lily of the Valley and I don't know some of those things. But anyway, let's bring Shruti into this as the bridge between the world of fashion and tech. Right? Your opening remarks on where we can take this episode.
Make one observation. So I laughed at Nitin for not knowing that he was using an antiperspirant and did not know it, except this morning I went and told him that hang on, the latest deo that I bought actually says antiperspirant as well. So
We are all under the mistaken impression that we're using deodorants while we're actually not. So there you go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but I think one of the things that Nisha said, which is you have just when you talk about fashion, you only have to talk about clothes, maybe shoes. But like for women, there is jewelry, there is cosmetics, and there is, of course, varieties of shoes. There are two sets of office shoes, and then there is other clothes. So that gamut is pretty long, and we should decide what we want to get through today because otherwise we might be here all night.
To start with, right? Like this was when I used to do. Today I learned series on Instagram. One of which was that if you look at shirts for men and women, the buttons are on opposite sides, right? So for men it's on the right, for women it's on the left. Still continues to be the case. We have pockets and things like that. I don't know if you're familiar with the concept, but there's a lot that we can get through. I think Nish, are you on Instagram? Are you off Instagram?
I'm off, completely off. Well, I was off for a couple of months during the crazy December time when everything is being sold to you, from needles to underwear to, soft toys, you name it, and Instagram ads are showing that to you till almost recently, when I suddenly realized that someone I knew died, some famous person, and I didn't know about it. And I said, oh, I get all my news on Instagram. And I went back for a couple of weeks. But no, I'm off it again. I think we discuss this quite often, right? Our feeds look so dramatically different. The only thing I see on my feed is hotels, of course, but also people getting ready. Get ready with me. What clothes am I going to buy? What jewelry keeps coming up? I buy something from, say, Tanishq or Carrot Lane, and suddenly I only see solitaire rings on my feed. And there is this constant sort of barrage of information out there telling me, spend your money, buy something more. You're not worth it if you don't have that extra white shirt, which is made of, I don't know, baby's bottom. I mean, it has to be something more. You may have 10 white shirts in your cupboard, but that one from Lululemon is the one to buy. And he was getting so much. I think I spent half my salary on clothes that I never wore. I mean, even today, if you open my cupboard, there are only clothes, out of which I wear 3 black tops, 2 blue tops, and I think 3 shirts. And that's about it on my days off with 2 pairs of jeans. But there's an entire cupboard out there of things that I keep buying. And to get off, the only way to get off that cycle was to get off Instagram. I mean, I just couldn't anymore.
Actually,
But
my Instagram feed is only full of 20-day calisthenic classes that will change your body forever, and face yoga challenges, because if you're above 40 and you're not doing face yoga, there
correct,
is something
yes.
wrong with you.
What is
The
face yoga?
menopausal woman's way to health is what I'm seeing right now.
Wait. I have to mansplain this to you. It's perimenopause.
Yes, yes. But that was also a marketing term that's come up literally. I mean, some doctor wrote about it because they had to explain why women were crabby all the time. You had to name that, and it was perimenopause. I mean, that's just life for us.
Men mansplaining menopause is the absolute. I mean, the only thing worse than that would be men mansplaining pregnancy to women.
But most gynacs, so at least I'll say maximum gynacs are men. So
They're called guy nacks after all.
yeah, correct. No.
No, I think this is something that we just take for granted, right? That like our feeds are a certain way, but Instagram is also, having been on the other side of marketing, is probably where you spend a lot of money as an advertiser also, because it is highly targeted and highly effective, because within the feed you are looking at discrete sets of things and it's easy to go and shop for something, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think it's something that we just take for granted, saying you use Instagram consciously and you can make a good network, you can just post content and this and the other. But I'm sure like it's a very different world out there, which I think like we feel need more insight into, because this is like something that didn't even cross my mind at least.
But
Yeah.
do you guys shop on Shruti, do you shop on Instagram? I mean, are you ever tempted to shop on Instagram?
I have actually never shopped on Instagram, and that's
Wow.
probably why my feed is not so full of
Yeah,
all the
okay.
fashion
Yeah.
stuff, and only full of face
Yeah.
yoga.
Yeah.
Have you explained what face yoga is? I think like this is an important detail.
This is how you get rid of wrinkles without
Yeah.
cosmetics.
Yeah. Correct.
You could try it right after your antiperspirant.
How men do this is by running podcasts. So
And growing a beard.
Yeah, that's one way to hide your wrinkles. By the way, in our family, I have shopped on Instagram, like which I mentioned on the last episode as well. When Tony mentioned Neiman's, which is his favorite brand of shoes, I was amongst the first 100 buyers of Neiman's, where I randomly clicked on some Instagram ad and I was so enamored by the shoes that they had on offer, and I paid like a lot of money to buy a pair of shoes. But but Tony has since sort of convinced me that it was a good purchase, because I still continue to wear those shoes.
yeah,
So
6 years, man. Chalk it up as a win. Move on.
6 years for a pair of shoes is good, man.
I have multiple
That's
pairs of
really
shoes
good.
that are 6 years old, and t-shirts and stuff. I basically don't throw away stuff. This is another problem that I have. But on the Instagram point, right, I had this one thing to say. If you've been listening to podcasts by Scott Galloway especially, and some of these other mansplaining podcast experts, they keep making this point about how Instagram has a very deleterious impact on the mental health of kids, especially, right, teenagers. And
Absolutely.
significantly more on girls than on boys. And so I guess it's not just restricted to teenagers. Like the point you made about how Instagram feeds can kind of hijack your mind, like, and the way it pushes shopping content in a very egregious way to women, I think is something that is worth talking about.
I think the younger generation is actually getting off Instagram, right? The whole concept of not sharing what is happening in your life is the new big thing. So I realized in my 2 months off it that I missed nothing. I mean, I missed nothing. And considering I was on Instagram for hours together, because it started off as part of my job and then just became a habit, I just saved a lot of money.
Let's roll this back a little. It's not like since the start of anything media, it has always been about A, objectifying women, B, making women feel insecure, C, getting them to shop, right? As someone who's straddled both Vogue and Instagram, Nisha, I feel like you have more insight into, I don't know, glossies versus now versus why you got out of whatever, and some takes there maybe.
No, so I mean, it's a vicious cycle, no? I mean, you see something, you want it, and you buy it, and then someone says, okay, that's selling, let's peddle more of it. And just body image with the models, that while we keep saying body positivity and we keep talking about, all sort of colors, genders, all diversity matters. In reality, no one's buying that glossy unless there is someone really attractive either on the cover or some really great concept of fashion to be spoken
Hey,
about.
wait. I always read Playboy for the articles. I don't know what you're talking
Obviously,
about.
they had some fantastic articles. Let's accept that.
So
Sports
he's now
Illustrated.
going to name his favorite authors from Playboy.
It's a chicken and egg situation, right? I mean, the magazine needs to sell, therefore it needs to have someone attractive on the cover, someone conventionally attractive, because that's where the market is. And only if it sells will advertisers pump money back into it. So it's a never-ending cycle. There is never a way that someone's going to move out and break the mold, because those magazines won't sell. So however much we want to talk about diversity and however much we want to talk about, representing different types of people in these magazines, give it a couple of issues and it goes back to where it started off, right? I mean, even if you look at all the Vogue magazines in the last, say, 5 years, you look at the GQs, you look at any of the fashion magazines in the last 5 years, you'll see that maybe a new editor comes in and does one or two really fantastic issues and people are talking about, oh, they put this one on the cover and oh, they put that one on the cover. But you realize as time goes by, they go back to what the original formula was, because that's what advertisers want. And advertisers are basically hawking products to a certain type of a person. And that's the ideal body type for that country.
But I have a different problem, and the problem is that I don't get my fashion updates from either Vogue or from Instagram. Instead, I get them when I go for a walk every evening on JBR Walk.
Yeah.
And trust me, like you can shut out, you can uninstall Instagram, you can choose not to buy a Vogue magazine, but I have no choice but to step out of my house. And just this evening, in fact, I was observing the people that I was crossing, and every day I come back with at least something completely outrageous, which also looks good, right? At least on the person who's wearing it, except all the body types are the same. So I wouldn't even blame Vogue, because clearly, the real life people that I see are often better looking than the models that I have seen. And it's insane, right? Like you're not just now defining fashion based on what suits body types, but now you're defining body types based on what fashion they want to go ahead and sport. And today I saw somebody who was wearing pink color stockings, and I saw somebody.
Wait, was it you, Nitin? Why are you raising your eyebrow like that?
It was his pajama.
It's just like
mine was radioactive blue.
And I saw a guy actually wearing, one of those crochet type pants where you could see through stuff.
We know what you're knitting next, Shruti.
So, people like to wear skinny tight clothes, which is all great if you have a great figure. But then I saw these skin tight jeans, which, you have those little pockets in the front of the jeans. I never figured out what they were for. But there were holes where those pockets are supposed to be. And I was, a little bit confused. As it is, we don't have enough pockets in women's clothes, but just taking this to a completely different level. So I mean, I see lots of strange fashion choices, and it's amazing because very often I also see the uptake of certain fashion just by going on a walk, right? Like I don't have to go on Instagram, or rather Instagram hasn't yet figured out that maybe that I'm a woman and they should be peddling me stuff. I can see fashion trends. Like I see one day one person wearing I don't know if you guys have seen this, Balenciaga those flower cord sets for men. And then I start seeing 5 people wearing it, and then I start seeing it in different colors, and then I see a takeoff of it into women's clothing. So it's insane. Just going on a walk here is quite stressful sometimes.
But that's like Dubai, no? That's Dubai, no? I mean, Dubai is just bling and out there. So for sure.
Also, not just bling, it's also the cosmetic surgery capital of the world. Right?
Doesn't everyone look the same? I mean, when Shruti was saying this, I was just thinking back that everyone has the same set of lips. Everyone has the same cheeks. I mean, you look at
the cheeks on both sides.
Yeah, the cheeks, exactly. Also that. Because I see them when they travel to Bombay, right? They come to Bombay during the monsoons. You have the entire Middle East belt of people who travel to Bombay for the rains, and they all are so beautiful, but they all look the same. There is no...
Are you sure you're not just racist, Nish?
Does we all looks the same to you?
Indians are the most racist people in the world. So let's accept this.
No, I was just making a joke.
Yeah. Can you tell the difference between a Kim Kardashian and a Huda Katan. If you look at them, Google them. If you
We
look
can't
at
even
just
tell
their
the difference between aquamarine and teal and come on, man. Like, what you? Yeah,
I kept
whatever.
this here strategically.
This is 90s New Zealand.
This was strategically kept in the background.
Indeed.
This is turquoise or whatever else that color was.
Exactly, but this is not what Adam Sandler was wearing. He was wearing
it
bubblegum
was.
blue.
No, bubblegum blue.
He was wearing radioactive sky blue. Let's be very clear about this.
One observation when Shruti was talking about how, she sees one quad set and then she starts seeing it everywhere and then suddenly men are wearing it and women are wearing it. Instagram might not have figured out what to serve Shruti. It looks like real life is serving is her Instagram feed. Whatever she sees.
Facebook is listening. I have a very real fashion question. How do you differentiate between a quad set and pajamas? Because, like,
You don't.
what the fuck is a quad set? Like, why is it even a fashion thing? Like, is it just like someone other than Nitu who is comfortable going down in pajamas and then, like, they just happen to be photographed? What is a quad set?
It's a coordinated bottom and top. Yeah.
Pajamas only bottom.
Yeah, I'd like to use them as curtains maybe, but
The
like,
more
why?
expensive pajama set.
Okay.
Exactly. It looks
Yeah, okay,
the same,
so-
it feels the same, but it's more expensive. And
Right.
now in airports, you see people wearing those things, right?
They're
Now
gross.
it's all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. I like it. Finally,
Yeah.
I like it when people wear comfortable stuff. It just makes me feel better about the world.
You like it when some what is the
Yeah.
levels of
I mean-
empathy, man?
No, not empathy. It's reaffirms my faith in humanity that people are doing the logical thing by optimizing for comfort.
Nitin is just
about it.
happy seeing people not wear jeans, even
Yeah.
if they have holes in it,
Exactly.
in strategic places.
I
Okay,
think
so
you're
what-
living in the wrong generation, Nitin. It's like the flower child era in you, the pajamas and the t-shirts and the flowing, tops. So send him back to the 60s.
Yeah. Mad Men era. Yeah.
In Dubai, everything is magnified, right? Not just fashion. Like, even if it's food, it's probably like molecular gastronomy, that, this, and the other. That doesn't mean you go into that every day and eat, etc. What I'm more interested in is probably your personal journey. And let's start with you, Shruti, because you've straddled the world of tech. You were a founder, and I think I read somewhere that you really didn't want to do sales, but the two guys who were with you refused to do it. So you absolutely had to do it. So you've pushed comfort zones there. You've sort of stepped into a man's world. You've made a successful exit. What has been your fashion journey in that sense through this, or at least your choice of outfits, and how has it evolved from probably when you were growing up to now? Some color on that.
When I was listening to your episode, I was reminded of my own journey of trying to buy clothes for the IIM placement process, right? And that was literally, again, the first time I was thinking of like full-on Western formal wear. Except this is Ahmedabad, and people don't understand that Western formal wear for men and women is different to begin with, right? And they have basically gone from the women in the 70s who were graduating from IMA wearing saris as the formal wear, to today saying like, okay, you know what, whatever the guys are wearing, you also wear that. So it was really bizarre because, placement process, we all got suits stitched from Raymond's by the same tailor where the guys got the suits stitched. And clearly the suits also fit the same way, right? These are the most flat, ill-fitting pants ever made. The jackets did nothing for your figure. We all showed up in like pinstripe suits looking like just another man.
Raymond's tagline literally is the complete man.
Was this close to how you were looking?
Very much, very much.
This is the thing, is it? Tom and Jerry suit.
Yeah.
He basically takes it out of a curtain or one of those chairs, no?
Okay.
Not
okay.
It was a vertical striped black suit, just the color choices were not as advanced. And then I remember that, when I tried to go and buy a ready-made suit for the first time in India, it was very much still like, the instead of flat-fitting pants, it was now flare pants. Like, for flare pants, you need something to be tight and then something to flare. They were like flare and then more flare. And they didn't have the concept of like, women could have a different height and a different body size. Everything was like just based on one waist size, right? So either the length would fit or the width would fit. And then I went to Hong Kong for as an investment banker, and I realized that everybody was just so poshly dressed.
Well,
and I remember that the first discussion, like, literally we had like the first lecture in the morning, and then there was like a tea break. And the first thing women were talking about was like did you see the shoes that lady was wearing? And I was like, oh my God, like I was just looking at the Excel files. But, like the whole point of dressing for work was like completely different level, right? Like in India, despite so-called like, Western formal wear and like us going for interviews with other people who were supposedly well dressed, this was like a complete game changer.
So this is when you turned heel. It's a joke only for Nitin Sundar. But okay.
So bad tones. Yeah.
Go on. Sorry.
The investment banking world, fashion choices are completely different, but still very much like, brand driven. I think that the tech world is actually pretty good that way, right? Like you can show up in jeans and
Yeah.
t-shirt every day and nobody will frown upon you, but it's a little bit like if you don't show up in jeans and t-shirt, people might frown upon you. So, it's a little bit
Yeah.
like, again, being in that pinstripe suit, but in a different avatar. When I went to the US, I noticed that in the tech world there, it's even more vehemently like you have to be in a jeans and t-shirt, because I think they started wearing jeans and t-shirt because they were almost making a statement against all the people who came before them who were in finance and they were wearing suits. And then I remember, even as investment bankers, when they would have to show up on the West Coast, they would have to dress down, right? So they can't show up in their suits, so they will, wear a jeans and then go. So it was interesting, but at some point I was like, you know what, like, is it okay if I want to dress in a feminine way? Like if I don't want to look like another man? And that I still don't know, right? Like it's still something that I would probably have to think 10 times about if I'm not wearing a jeans and t-shirt. And then I'll be like, are people going to suddenly realize that I'm a woman and like, treat me differently?
Yeah, I mean, I think Shruti will give it 10 years before you do the Zuckerberg turn, right? Moving from hoodies all the time to custom made t shirts and saying, what is that? All Zuck or nothing, right? Ot Zuck, ot nihil, right? All Zuck or nothing. So I think it's going to be an evolution. But the advantage of this panel here is that we have people from two sides, right? And Nish, for all the positivity you've been talking about so far, let's be very clear. You never started talking to me when I was fat, right? Like you waited for me to
That had
get
nothing
fit.
to do with you being fat. That had everything to do with you sitting creepily on the top berth of a train.
But that has not changed even now. I'm sure he goes and sits creepily on top berths of trains.
What I wanted to talk about was obviously you got into this world by accident, right? I think your original thing was to go become a Nat Geo photographer, and I think on weekends you still dress that way, right? Like how many batteries can I fit in my cargo pants, or like how many lenses can I fit, or how badly can I uniron the shirt and still carry it off. So tell us about your personal journey, but also what you've seen in how people can evolve slash what that means to you.
With me, I think I live two lives. It's very clearly demarcated. I have my off work life and my on work life. And I think I use and this is where fashion plays a really huge role, right? I work in a very, very formal industry, but my personality in real life is more laid back and what doesn't need ironing, what can be pulled out of the closet, what is semblance of clean. But I use fashion as more of it's somewhat an armor where it comes to work, because I know when I'm in my sari or I'm in my business suit, and I come from an ultra formal industry. So the minute I'm wearing that suit or I'm wearing that sari, I know my entire personality is changing. I think my body language changes, the way I approach situation change, the way I live life changes actually. And there's an entire different shift in behavior, in just the way I present myself the minute I'm in that outfit. And I've loved saris since I was a child. My mom wore the most beautiful saris and I started wearing them as soon as I could, but I actually got into it only once I joined the hospitality industry. But off work, it's just jeans, sneakers, t-shirts, and just live in that, because that's what I think. The less you think about it, the better. It needs to be functional and comfortable for you to do life. And that's what I like about having two lives, because I get that side to indulge my love for fashion, which I love. I love everything fashion. I may not put effort into it on a day-to-day basis, but I love following it. I love the business of fashion. It's something I developed at a very early age, not because I wanted to wear it, but I just like seeing beautiful things. And I think my job allows me to enjoy that bit of it. But off work, I can also be myself, the actual laid back, peaceful person.
I think the whole point of workwear is actually what Nisha's talking about. The fact that you get into a certain type of costume and it changes the way you think about yourself, behave and present yourself to the world is actually what workwear is supposed to do, or what casual wear is supposed to do. You actually are supposed to be formal when you dress up formal, right? And in some sense, it sort of is working out for you that way. That you're able
Yeah.
to be two different people based on what you're wearing and the setting.
Oh, so this is like Bruce Wayne and Batman that way.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh wow.
And
that's a great-
I'm glad to see that Nitin is refuting his own point where he said, I can't believe
Exactly.
everyone's wearing a suit to go for an IMA interview.
No, but that is my stock and trade. I always contradict myself. Tony knows this. So please, this is what I do. Antiperspirant for the win.
I thought you were going to say that you want to be casual at work and that's why you want casual wear to be okay at work.
No, I want to be casual all the time. That's a different
All the
problem.
time. All of the pink pajamas.
Both Nisha and Nitin are saying the same thing, which is dress for the job you want to have. Nitin
Yeah.
always wanted to sit at home, so he dressed accordingly.
Manifested it. Exactly.
You nailed it.
I need to learn
Nailed it,
this.
bro.
And the other one, before Nisha continues, on Shruti's point about the tech bro style of dressing, right? What is that Zuckerberg thing you said, Tony? What? Zuck nihil what?
That's the t-shirt he wore, no?
You remember how
Yeah.
the famous example of decision fatigue was you either pointed to Obama or Zuck and said they always wear the same outfit every day because
Unless
you
a
have to make
decision to
multiple
make.
decisions and so now he doesn't have too many decisions to make, so and he's also become bro max bro, right? About to fight Elon Musk. So the latest t-shirt that he wore is a quote about Caesar, right, which basically said it's all Caesar or nothing at all, right? And then the Blue Sky
CEO.
who's a woman, basically wore a similar T-shirt which said "A world without Caesars," right? So
Without Caesar.
that way, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Well, I didn't know this thing. I was completely unknown.
You should listen to this podcast called Leftover Lasagna, Nitin. It'll expand
You
your
didn't mention this at a pod. By the way, for the record, all the 4
Let
listeners
up.
of this podcast are on this podcast. So who's going to listen to this episode?
That is why it is meta. We are talking.
Oh, Zuckerberg meta. Now I get it.
Since we've got here, might as well bring it up on screen. So on the left, you have ought Zuck, ought nihil, Zuck or nothing.
Or nothing.
And on the right, you have Mundus Sine Cerebus, or however you say it.
All things being equal, people should wear lungis. That is what Mundus says.
Exactly, Mundus. Particularly apposite, since we are recording close to the middle of March / Ides of March. So, Caesars beware.
No, my thought when Shruti spoke about the t-shirts was just this, right? See, firstly, I can't believe Zuckerberg actually wore a t-shirt which has his name on it. I mean, where he's gone, from where he started to where he's gone, is like a really long journey, right? But
yeah, and now Modi doesn't wear suits with his name on it. So,
meta again. So in the earlier version of what Zuck did, right, where he removed decision fatigue and also made it very casual for tech workers to dress up in t-shirts and jeans, and the whole world adopted it. What we actually need is a woman's moment of that kind, where someone of Zuck's stature, but a woman, actually comes and sets the code for what is casual and comfortable wear for women to wear. Because what Zuckerberg inadvertently ended up doing was actually alienate women in a way, because showing up in t-shirts and jeans is not maybe something that women always want to do. Yeah. So while it works perfectly fine for men in tech. Anyway.
We need the LBD moment, the little black dress moment.
But
whatever
it's
that.
the sari, no? It's the sari, no? Look at all your power ladies of India. I mean, everyone's wearing a sari. In fact, you'll have, whether that's the Falguni Nayar, I mean, you name the people.
Yeah.
All of the ladies are in saris. That's the new sort of power dressing for women.
Yeah. Is that comfortable, by the way, for every Indian
Fantastic.
woman? It is?
It is. I mean, for someone who wears a sari, who's been wearing a sari for the last 20 years, there is nothing as comfortable as a sari once you learn how to wear it.
this is a great segue into your personal journey. And obviously, you didn't make the switch overnight from, I don't know, punk to whatever this is.
punk to prim.
Yeah, you're right. I did advertising, so we basically had a bath and rolled out of bed and went to college.
You had a bath. You make it sound as if it was every day.
Well, on most days, the days you went to college, come on now, the days you landed up in college, you had a bath and you wore whatever was around, which is probably jeans, kurtas, t-shirts, sneakers, chappals, kolhapuri chappals. I mean, that was college life, right? You did journalism, you did advertising, and that was my life for my teen years and my early sort of 20s till I got into the hospitality industry. And suddenly there was a 360-degree turn. And while I loved wearing a sari, I'd never worn makeup in my life. I'd never done my hair in my life. These were alien concepts. I mean, there was a wash and there was an air dry and you lived. I mean, we weren't allowed makeup. My mom was very, very strict. So till I was 18, there was no concept of nail polish or any sort of makeup. So we weren't allowed that. And I joined hospitality at 21. So I remember the first day of my management training program at the company. My roommates helped me get ready. I mean, I had two ladies who'd done their hospitality college and they learned, and this is part of your hospitality training. They did my makeup and they helped me drape my sari and they took me shopping for a suit so that I could fit in to the world I was going into. So I'm immensely grateful for that. And then, of course, as you spend more time and you see what people are wearing, it becomes sort of your armor and your shield and your identity. And my then personal sort of taste developed over the years. But the first few months was all about the people whom I lived with and how they taught me. In fact, my husband used to be a butler. He was, before he started as part of the management training program, he was a butler within the company. I remember him helping me and teaching me how to wear a sari. So there have been many people in my hospitality journey who taught me how to dress. And it's been an interesting journey. But yeah, so that's my evolution. But I think I cling to my real self off work. And therefore now I get sass from my 6-year-old who tells me that a half-tucked t-shirt is not cool anymore. So, but I mean, that's the way of the world.
But I have a question. Do you think like the opinions on makeup have also evolved in this time
Yeah,
period?
absolutely.
Because I remember like makeup was usually frowned upon, right? Like
Yeah.
people wouldn't wear makeup because it was kind of considered, I don't know, whorish.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was like you're attracting too much attention to yourself. In a lot of cultures, you cannot step out without makeup, right? Like it's
Absolutely.
almost considered indecent. And I remember watching Mrs. Marvelous, and I was like, wow, like I didn't realize that
Marvelous
makeup was
Miss
such a
Maisel.
big part. Yeah,
Yeah,
Marvelous
the one
Miss
where
Maisel.
she's sitting up
Yeah.
with the. I just saw that clip. Yeah, that's really. I mean,
And-
that really tells us about. Yeah.
And the same thing, right? Like if you see people on the streets of like Hong Kong or Rome, just forget about all of their clothes, but just look at their face, and there is like a lot of effort that has gone into it. And people would almost consider it rude if you walk out like without any makeup. I'm curious, like what has been your kind of take on it as you've gone from like no makeup allowed to having to put on makeup, and how do you also deal with it when you're off work or off stage?
Yeah, so I rebel desperately. If you see me off work on a regular weekend, which is my day off, I will have no makeup, nothing at all, because it's it's actual rebellion. But at work, I'm expected to, and that's something that even sort of being in a customer-facing job, it's expected of, right? Y'all are users of 5-star hotels. Y'all are users of, say Singapore Airlines, Emirates. You expect the people working there, the hostesses, the front office to look a certain way, right? We're representing not ourselves in the organization. I'm representing a brand, and the brand needs to be represented in a certain way. So I look at it from that point of view, that if I am not dressed the way I need to be dressed at work, I'm doing my job a disservice, because that's part of it. This facade is part of actually doing that job well. And therefore, off work, I want to go the actual 360 and not do anything. I don't want to meet people. And if I happen to bump into customers on my day off, I try and take a wide berth and not go and say hi unless I have to. But yeah, and most people will look at me and go like, as Tony said, are you unwell? you don't look well. But yeah, I think so. For me, at least for this industry, it's more a part of the uniform than anything else. But but I like makeup. Yeah, makeup's good. Lets you be who you want to be, the way you want to be. I mean, enhance what you want to enhance and not enhance what you don't want to enhance. And men use makeup also. So
I feel
I don't know why you're pointing at me.
cosmetic surgery after living in Dubai.
yeah, why not? I mean, Okay, so I mean, sorry, I'm going to ask this question before Tony jumps in. I mean, Shruti, honestly, someday Botox, what are your thoughts? Like just for the wrinkles.
I mean, I feel like how it's a gradation between like doing a facial, putting a face cream and doing Botox,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
I've come to the realization that it's the same thing.
It is. You're absolutely, I agree with you. A lot of, like, until recently, there was this huge negative connotation about people using cosmetic procedures to look a certain way. And we finally evolved to a point where say, two average women, I mean, we're not celebrities, are okay with it, to use it. I'm
Yeah.
perfectly fine at some point if I need it to use it. I mean, it's just
When face yoga fails.
when face yoga fails, correct.
I don't know why you thought I would disagree with this, because I've been taking finasteride, which basically allows me to
Show
not
the
lose
ball
hair.
spot, Tones. Show the ball spot.
Wow.
Come on.
There
Show
is no
your
ball
4 followers. Of course, there's a ball spot.
No. There is a threat of one developing, and this is a byproduct of me actually going to a higher end salon than the one that offers you a haircut for double digit numbers, where they'll tell you your crown is thinning, that, this, and the other. And so they sell you product, and instead of buying product, you read up and you say scientifically there is a way to sort of fight this. So finasteride 1 mg for the win. This is not a recommendation. But my point is that I don't think it's restricted to women in that sense, right? And basically, at the end of the day, it boils down to how comfortable you are. I obviously have like bunch of cousins who like obviously work abroad, but then they come back to Kerala to get their hair fixing done. Thankfully, I don't have to do it yet. But if it comes to that stage, I don't know, will I go bald or will I, get hair implants? I'll probably do the latter, right? I think. But again, I mean, it just depends on how comfortable you feel at that point in time. So yeah, no disagreement there.
Well, yeah, I'm someone who has done a LASIK surgery. So in this group, I think amongst the four of us, I've probably done the most major facial modification work. It's just, see, what is considered acceptable just changes with time, right? This would have sounded outlandish, I don't know, 20 years back, that someone would zap their eyes just to get rid of glasses, but now it's accepted and it's okay.
Do you remember, like, there is this clip of Shashi Kapoor and someone's talking about how he still looks good? And I think, I mean,
You mean Bonnie Kapoor? Shashi Kapoor.
Bonnie Kapoor looks good.
Bonnie Kapoor's got a hair weave. You'll have not seen.
This is a very-
Oh, really? See his recent pictures. He's not bald anymore.
Oh, he was?
yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. I haven't noticed.
There's only one Kapoor in Nitin's life that he keeps track of.
Which is the right thing to do.
What I was trying to say was,
Fine.
this is a Shashi Kapoor interview, and the hostess is praising him or something, and he's like, no, I'm busurg hu, which I guess means old. He's saying, I'm 45, I'm very old, see the sideburns, it is all grayed out. But my point is that at least 20 years ago, like 45, etc., seemed like really old, right? Like the definition of looking old has changed dramatically in the last couple of decades as science has evolved, right? So I think it's a function of that also, right? Like, what do you
It's
consider
also
old
changed
now?
after you turned 40, Tony. Or as you
He's
neared
not
40.
turned 40 yet.
No, but what I really want to drive towards, Nish, was let's pummel Nitin Sundar's point to dust, which is that you obviously now have a different perspective on, is it important for people to dress for work and how it makes a difference? Can we like nail Nitin Sundar to the cross?
It's very easy to do that. I'll be the first person to cast a stone at myself, because this point that Shruti mentioned some time back about makeup, right? So my point to her was, won't it be a great world where women don't feel the compulsion to wear makeup? Because to me, makeup seems like something that women wear in order to fit into a man's world and to fit into the ideal of what a man wants to see. Exactly. So I'm so wrong, right? And then she pointed out that is the exact opposite. The act of wearing makeup itself is a rebellion, because it was considered culturally, as she pointed out, as inappropriate to be wearing makeup. And wearing makeup is the way in which women actually are stamping their authority to say, hey, screw you, we will do this now. I mean, refuting my points and saying that I was wrong is the easiest thing to do, and I'll be the first person to do it. So, yeah.
This is the big misconception that men have. Women don't dress for men. No one dresses for men. Women dress for women, and women dress for themselves. I don't care what any guy thinks of what I'm wearing, and I'm sure Shruti will agree. Makeup is for me. I feel great when I put makeup. It has nothing to do with anyone else looking, anyone else commenting. It's my armor, my shield, my face to the world. So, and the same with clothes.
Women definitely have to dress for women because,
Yeah.
clearly men are not noticing most of the time.
Not at all. Not at all.
Hey, wait, are you unwell? Hello. So much
Hello.
empathy was there.
Yeah, lots of empathy.
Yeah.
No, to be honest, can I just say, representing all men, I don't think we want women to dress for us. We want women to. Okay, I won't continue.
Oh, gross.
Tony,
Horrifying.
back to the upper berth. I see. Yeah.
Nisha, you were saying that you dress for work and it gives you, like, your body language changes, the way you carry yourself changes. I recently have begun to feel the same way about dressing for the gym, right? I've gone from being the person who would, like, use my time at the gym to get rid of my old t-shirts, or rather to wear my old t-shirts, to now being like the person after, of course, and again, the context being that I'm in Dubai and everybody dresses in their Lululemons and looks their absolute best. I've now begun to feel like, okay, if you do actually dress up in a certain set of clothes, you feel more inspired to work out a certain way. And also, the fact that you wear tight fitting clothes to the gym actually allow you to observe what you're doing with your body, versus like if you're in a loose t-shirt, you really can't observe, like, am I lifting right? Is my posture correct? So, I feel like that's been my Batman suit from the last
Do you
week.
go to a women's only gym? Aren't there men coming and telling you how the correct form is and what you should be doing? Where are all the mansplainers? What's happening?
Well, in our gym, we actually do have like a 3 hours every day when it's only women's time.
Yeah, actually.
So, at that point, you should see the women in the gym. They dress or undress for themselves.
Yeah. It's only women. Women are the only ones looking at. I think my fascination with wearing at offices is I love high heels. I mean, I love stilettos, and I think the only people who ever look at me wearing those stilettos and they look fantastic are every single woman in that office. Every time I wear a new pair of shoes, I know that some woman's going to come and ask me, hey, where are those shoes from? No guy is ever looking. So I know those shoes are just for me and they make me
We're not looking because your eyes are up there. What?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Shoes are allowed, yeah. Looking is allowed.
But from the top berth, it's hard to see the shoes.
You really have to tell me about the top berth story.
Wait, you're making it sound like there is no story here.
Of course, there was
Now
a
you
story
better clarify,
there,
Tony. Now it looks like there is no smoke without fire.
No, I just joined said company, and like 1 week later there was a big conference, and I obviously came from a very different world. I tried making friends with a couple of guys, and I told them my favorite XKCD joke, and he's like, "What is XKCD?" Then I tried to explain what Balmer Peak was to him, and he looked at me askance, and I'm like, "Fuck! It's a train. What do I do? It's a train to Delhi." So I climbed on the top berth, and I just cloistered myself.
Stared. No. Let me.
You stared at me. Hello, I didn't even know you existed.
Please allow me to add to this story. Tony was at least 100 kgs heavier than he is now. Okay? A minimum 100 kgs.
So like 240
large
kilos.
Boy.
This incidentally, Nitin, proves what I mentioned in the previous episode, because this was about just a couple of years after I got married. So it adds up, right? Like why I was.
But this is true. This is so true. 3 years into my marriage, my husband, who had lost 10 kgs for the wedding, had gained that plus back, right?
I think this is true. I think anecdotally, I think this is true for me also, for sure. I think I was close to my unhealthiest around 3-4 years into our wedding.
Yeah. No, but finish that story and like, can we clarify? I did nothing creepy. What the hell? I didn't even know you existed.
He was this. So we were all. It was. This was a time when we were being sent by train instead of flights, because this was long time ago, where flights still weren't cheap enough for everyone to.
You hadn't had acquired Air India. So.
No, we hadn't. Forget the Air India. Nothing existed at that time, for us to go. So the juniors were all sent by train like cattle, and this boy was sitting on the top berth in the night, just staring at everyone, because he didn't know anyone and we didn't know him. And he just sat there and he kept staring on me. It's a core memory for me.
I have to come to Tony's defense. Tony's defense here.
You can't.
3 years into his wedding, Tony had let himself go. And he had also, the worst aspects of Tony's personality, which is he will crack stupid nerdy jokes hoping that people will get them. He's explaining XKCD to guys in order to get them to like him, and it is all backfiring, and he's in a train. What do you expect him to do? He went and receded into the farthest corner which was available, which was the upper berth.
Exactly. Thank you, Nitu.
Yeah, so it makes perfect sense.
Was just sitting around and staring.
Yeah.
And then
if he could, he would have gone and sat in the unreserved berth.
Exactly. Cut to 4 years later.
4 years and 100 kgs lighter, and then we all became friends. So, I mean, I'm not saying I'm sizist. I'm just saying his humor improved.
Wait. 1 second. Point of note here. I think fat people are funnier. Like anything that you say, if you say
we're
as a fat person.
Really, we're going to get cancelled very badly.
No, why? No, see, because it is just human nature, right? It's that kiki boo boo thing, right? Like you think kiki is a hard sound, boo boo is a light sound. By virtue of being fat, you are not an adversary to anyone, right? Like you can't run fast enough evolutionarily. So you seem harmless. Therefore, anything you say is automatically funnier rather than it being something where you're thumping your chest like a gorilla. Therefore, scientifically, fat people
he's still into nerdy stuff. See, he's trying to be nice to us by telling us nerdy crap that we don't care about. See, this is Tony.
He's sitting with 3 other nerds, so obviously we'll humor him and laugh. No, the point
Please don't include me in this.
I thought fat people are nerdy because that's like, that's how they make friends.
No, but Nish, finish that thing, no? Where you now have a different point of view of how it is important for people to put in effort, right?
It's very simple. You dress for the job you want. You just don't just dress for the job you're doing. You dress for the job you want. At least that's what I mean. And however much Nitin went on about saying you don't need to wear a tie and you need to go for an interview with wearing something you're comfortable, there's no way you're getting that job in finance or in whatever investment banking if you go dressed as a slob.
That's true. Yeah.
And you may all be fantastic at what you do.
I mean, I went dressed in a tie and I still didn't get the job. So, yeah, there you go.
Because thankfully your wife got the job. So, I mean, first impressions matter. So, the way you dress is going to matter whether you like it or not. You have to dress for where you're going to be or where you want to be. And that doesn't mean brands. That doesn't mean, you need to spend the money. It could be just a simple tailored suit. But it needs to be a well-tailored suit. It needs to be a great stitched sari with a great blouse which fits you well. Anything that fits well and you're comfortable in, I think that's what makes the difference.
I agree. And that, by the way, refutes Tony's point, which was that standardized formal wear is a point of parity, which I completely disagree with. But yeah, I agree with you, Nisha.
It's great to think that, women have the ability and the power today to dress for themselves. I must point out that there are definitely a lot of situations that I've seen where that's not true. So one of the first pieces of surprises I got when I went for an event to the US was there is a concept called booth babes. So this is like, a B2B event, say around sales tech or around whatever, right? Like real estate. And it's like, it's not a consumer facing event. It's a business to business event. And then you walk through some of the exhibition booths that are there. You'll see like these really hotly dressed women, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm like wondering, like, okay, I wouldn't dress to work like this. Like, what's going on here? Am I missing some cultural context? And then later I realized that these people are just hired to sit on the booths for the day of the exhibitions. Now, the criteria really is that they have to look really hot, just so that men would want to walk up to those booths and spend some time. And then, somebody else will swoop in and try to tell them what the company actually does, because more often than not, these people, because they just arrived on the day of the event, have no idea what the company does. So I would say, like, yes, I understand a lot of these conferences, the participants are men, and so, you're catering to whatever gimmick you can. But as a woman at that event, I would feel really uncomfortable, because then, you don't know which way to swing, right? Like, do I re-emphasize and double down on my very manly personality, which I anyways have to embrace with the black t-shirts and blue jeans most of the time? Or what's that balance? Yes, I think there is a little bit more empowerment, but I feel that there is also a lot of objectification that goes on even in work context. So, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a shield, right? I mean, you dress either extremely conservatively and even if you don't wish to be buttoned up to your neck and sleeves down, but sometimes that's how you're going to dress, because the person you're going to interact with is going to otherwise objectify you and not listen to what you're going to say. So that's the other thing women have to always keep in mind when they're dressing. Who's the audience to this as well, not just how they feel. So fashion for women is many things.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily as simple as let me wear my pajamas and my shorts and my t-shirts. No, it's more complicated than that.
It is.
It's a battle every day as to what's the day going to bring. Do I need to be standing for 9 hours? Then I can't wear my heels. I have to wear my flats. Is it something? Am I going to be out in the sun? Am I walking out for sales calls? And I need to be in something that's easier to wear. I can't remove my jacket like men can remove and walk around if they're in a business suit. Most men in a business suit will remove their jackets and walk around in just their shirt sleeves. You won't see a woman doing that ever, right? You'll never see a woman removing, at least in India, removing her jacket and walking around in just her top and pants. So there's a lot more to fashion for women than it is for men. But yeah, anyway, that went on a
No.
different.
I think the reason we are silent is because some of the things that are obvious to you,
Yeah, and also obvious.
are like deep cutting for us, right? We didn't even think about that. And at the end of the day, that's really what privilege is, right? That you don't have to think about X number of things and the other person has to.
And I remember somebody telling me at one of those events very early on, and somebody really well-meaning came up to me and said, like, yeah, like if you're looking to do sales into the US, you should maybe get like a different profile picture on your LinkedIn that looks hotter.
Yeah.
And just stuff like that, right? It's across multiple layers of what people want to see and what stands out for people.
Yeah.
That you are either trying to draw the line between I want to stand out or I don't want to stand out.
Correct.
And in the same context, right, like the day before demo day in Y Combinator, right, which is where you go up on stage and present to like whatever 1,000+ investors in Silicon Valley. The day before demo day, they had like a whole day of workshops for women. And like, of course, the first question was, what should I wear for investor meetings, right? And there was like so much nuance to that discussion. But this is Silicon Valley, which believes in dressing down and being casual and all of that. Like, I can't even begin to imagine if you were having the same discussion on, say, the East Coast. It's just that the fashion choices are not just personal, right? Like even in the case of men, they are not just personal. Yes, you have to wear a tie. But I think for women, it's like there are so many layers to it. It's like the level of appropriateness versus the level of seduction versus the level of, comfort. There are just many more metrics and parameters that you're trying to balance.
Also being taken seriously, no, Shruti? Sometimes you want to dress to look older because you're not taken seriously because you look not old enough to be making certain decisions. So, I mean, for men, it's the suit. Single-breasted, double-breasted, great tie. That's it. So, yeah, the complicated world. Yeah,
what's the difference between single-breasted and double-breasted? Is single-breasted like women from Amazon?
Ha!
Sorry, wait, what is the women from Amazon joke?
They cut off one boob to be able to... Yeah, Amazonian women cut off one breast to be able to...
No idea.
What?
No?
Yes!
Yeah.
What?
I learn something new every day.
Okay, don't Google and put this on screen. You can put the other thing on screen.
Dude, this is science. This is not
Science?
Yeah, it's science. Come on.
As in it's history.
Mythology. I don't know. It's one of history.
Why do you know this, Tony? The question is, why do you know this?
Why do you know
At
this?
what point did you Google Amazonian women breasts?
Let's face it, I think over the last 34 episodes, I've established I'm a nerd. And in this episode, Nisha established I'm creepy. So if I didn't know this fact, it would have been weird.
How do you know this and not know that there are single-breasted and double-breasted suits for men?
No, he knows that. He was just building up to the punchline.
Thank you. So, literally the origin of the word Amazon, the etymology originating from Amazon.
Breastless.
Wow.
Breastless.
My goodness.
There you go. Mazos,
Wow.
like mastectomy, etc., refers to breasts, and mazos basically means without. There you go.
Incredible.
Well, don't come at me with boob questions. I shall anyway. Sorry, Nitin. State your question again. I don't shop for holidays. No.
Yeah. Nisha, do you? Like if it's like a big holiday, like a 20-day holiday where you're going away.
Yeah, I mean, I have to be honest, I will. Maybe not like an entirely new wardrobe, but there'll be at least one thing that I'll buy. Yeah, I will, for sure.
Yeah.
But not let's wear a new outfit every day. That's not happening. I mean,
something new. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
You can answer the question also, Dan.
Oh, me?
Pajamas! We've discussed this!
Please. No, I don't shop for...
That's why Shruti is going to the gym.
I have a counter question to this, and maybe Shruti can answer this. Do you shop for each other?
No, I made that mistake only once after we
Yeah, I
got
don't-
married, and I got like so much flack for it because he was like, "There is no way you know what is fitting well for me, and if it is not fitting well for me, I'm not going to wear it." And funnily enough, actually, he had that jacket until
Yeah.
last month, and we had some guests. Nitin's cousin was visiting us, and it actually fit. The jacket fit him better, and Nitin was so happy to get rid of it finally. And he was like, after whatever 20 years of being married, I don't know how long we've been married, but like, yeah, I don't have to hold
Yeah.
on to this.
So this jacket was Shruti's birthday gift to me a month after we had got married. Oh, the jacket was big for me. It never fit me. Actually, I didn't get fat.
I
you're
planned
right,
for him to get fat.
I got fatter in the wrong area, so it didn't ring. It still didn't fit. My brother-in-law, who eventually now has taken that jacket, is like 6 feet 4 inches. He's a huge guy, and it fits him perfectly. So you can imagine what I was trying to put up with. So yeah, that's the. But I was
What
kind
about you,
enough and
Nitu?
loved it enough.
Have you done the
No,
reverse?
I've yeah. I mean, not too much. Sometimes there have been some very good hits, right, where I've purchased stuff and it's actually Shruti has liked them and it's fit her well and all of that. Yeah, but not too many.
So I'll tell you the
Just few.
secret behind Nitin shopping for me. It's like he needs to buy another pair of pajamas and he needs a cart filler. And he's like, you know what? Like,
The pajama is
maybe.
the cart.
Minimum order quantity.
Yes.
I need something else, something substantial in the cart, to which the pajama can be the cart filler. And I don't want to buy myself anything. It's actually a noble thing that I'm doing, She's spinning it a different way. But yeah.
Sorry, me, yeah, I buy my husband clothes all the time. He doesn't buy anything for himself, so I buy them for him. And yeah, he wears most of the stuff I buy him, so that's a good thing.
Very
Yeah.
good.
Does he buy me anything? No, he better not, because that's not happening. He does not understand what I like at all. So no, thanks.
So why do you ask a question about the holidays?
So this is the thing, right? Like, lots of people now actually shop before they go on holidays, and lots of people also buy stuff when they're on holidays, which I think I also do, right? There is a thing, right? Like, so Shruti had this insight. This manifested itself in a slightly different way in our parents' generations.
Actually, I have a question. So, Nisha, did your mom buy things before she went on holidays?
Yeah, she did. But she bought it mainly for us, I think. It was more for us than for herself.
So I remember, like, before we went, and we never really traveled for holidays, right? Like, our holidays would be basically going to the grandparents' house or to some uncle's
Yeah.
house or something like that. But I distinctly remember, like, the one clothing item that my mom would buy before these would be like the nighties, right? And it was always like a big mystery to me, but I understand that a lot of the clothes that you wear outside your house are in good condition, right? Your saris are not going to get worn out, but the clothes that you wear at home, and it's the equivalent of our t-shirt and pajamas, would be the nighties, and that's the one thing that she would go buy before every holiday. And like, I would never get that obsession. Like, why do you have to go shop, and why do you have to go shop for nighties before holidays? And now, of course, I see people fully shopping for holidays. People would even coordinate the dresses they want to wear on different days.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny that I think the shopping for holidays has evolved from nighties to maybe bikinis.
Yeah.
How sweet.
How will my husband's family judge me, to how will my Instagram followers judge me, or how will my friends judge me? Yeah. Ultimately, it's about other people judging us, though. Yeah, sadly. Yeah.
There is a thing I want to say about what you wear on holidays, plus the previous thing around changes to your body, plus the fact that I know a lot about breasts, is that vacation breasts are a thing, right? Which is basically, if you are not sure if you want to get breast enhancement, there are these things called vacation breasts. You, I think, inject saline or whatever, not general saline, it's a regular procedure, which will give you enhanced breasts for, I think, a week. So you trial it out on the vacation, and if you like it, you keep it. Otherwise, you don't.
Explains so much about JBR walk.
What is JB? What?
As in the area where Shruti goes on her walk. Shruti's live Instagram feed is this place called.
No.
Because some of the boobs I've seen on those
Yeah, they're not.
walks are like insane. Like, I don't think anybody can literally carry them off for too long.
Tony is giving breast facts like every 2 minutes
Correct.
to the women on this podcast, and it's like mind blowing.
The best part is the women on this podcast haven't heard of these.
Yeah. It almost sounds made up, but then he shows us Wikipedia pages. This guy actually probably went and made that Amazon Wikipedia page.
He
by the
made
way.
it
Yeah.
in 5 minutes.
I told you I read Playboy for the articles. You didn't believe me. I'm just trying to keep you all abreast of the current situation.
My goodness. Okay.
The counter thing for men, Nitin, is that did you know during COVID, basically there was a period where men didn't need to walk for 6 months or whatever. So you had a thing where you did a surgery, I think in your femur or whatever, which allowed you to enhance your feet by 2 inches. So your torso would look out of proportion, but you just like grow 2 inches taller without ever having to. Yeah, the thing. Why do you think I'm taller? I used to be 5'8", now I'm 5'10".
We're talking about height, right?
Yeah.
I'm just confirming. We're talking about boobs, so I'm just guessing there'd be an equivalent to that. I mean, COVID did a lot of things to a lot of us, so why not?
Long COVID.
Long COVID, yeah.
Yeah. Have we covered everything we wanted to?
I think we've reached the end of this.
We've covered everything we wanted to, including family jewels, Nitin. So I think this is
After the pocket full of facts, I wanted to ask Nisha if she's found a good hack for pockets in saris.
Oh no, nothing. I mean, there are now saris with pockets in them, but not the ones that I'm wearing currently. But that would be ultimate. But you know what the great hack is? If you want a pocket, you get those old style key holders. No, I don't know if you remember our grandmothers wearing those key holders, which used to go chum 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 chum.
The big round thing,
now,
right?
Yeah, which used to generally have your key gucha. Basically, the old aunties used to have that key which they used to tuck into their saris.
Yeah.
Now it comes with a little pouch and you can tuck your phone and your sort of cards and your pen into it. So I used to wear that a lot when I was in front office, so you didn't have anything in your hands.
Wow, that's really stylish. I like that hack.
Yeah. So that's a good hack to have.
The only hack I've seen, I've used for the pocket replacement is like one of those chains that you can hang around your neck that you can put
The
phone
lanyard,
in.
yeah.
Yeah, the lanyard for the phones.
You wear it under your sari, no? You don't wear it over your sari. That simplifies it.
Yeah,
It goes
that
inside
makes
and it
sense.
doesn't get seen.
Nice.
Nitin's like true. As if
He must be wearing a dhoti or a mundu or something from time to time, no?
Zak, Mundu, whatever.
Mundungus Fletcher.
That's fine. My husband taught me how to wear a sari, so it's okay. It's all good.
Nice.
He used to hold my pleats while I learned how to do them, so it was okay. It's all good.
But one thing that I've been really happy about is the fact that they now have pockets on those workout tights that you wear.
Yeah, absolutely. The long pockets.
Yeah, and they are so perfectly designed.
Yeah.
Like, you can actually put a whole phone in it.
Yeah.
Because till now, whenever I have bought like regular track pants, the pockets are like this size. I don't know
This
what can
small,
go inside.
correct. Keys, only keys, nothing else.
Yeah. So I think maybe eventually in 20 years we'll get like full size pockets and everything.
You know what? What's the counter to this? Is that men walk around with pockets which they don't even know what they're for. Like there's that small pocket in the jeans. I've still not figured.
It's for change. मोदी जी ने UPI लेके आया, तू change नहीं लेके जा रहे हो.
What do you put coins in it?
Change means
pocket,
coins
no?
only. That is meant for coins. Yeah. That's small.
It's a watch pocket. It's a fob pocket. Is that what it is?
Watch pocket.
It's too big for too small for a fob. But it's perfect for like a few coins.
Or nowadays they're going to replace it with like a little hole.
Yeah.
Where you can keep Bitcoin.
You can access your jewels more easily.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Burn, Nitin!
Wow.
Burn! You addressed them in the last podcast very loudly and proudly. There was a discussion on the family jewels.
Nitin, finish that.
I'm done. I'm finished.
Okay.
Yeah.
On that note, I shall be the nice guy who finishes this episode last. So, thank you so much for joining us on whatever episode number this is, and whatever episode this will be titled by our editor, whoever that will be. But thank you, Shruti, Nish, for joining us. I think it was equal parts revealing and scary and interesting.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
If nothing, we all know a lot more about breasts than we started with.
No, but all thanks to you.
Which is the only thing fashion is for men, right? Women's fashion. So yeah, well.
All right. But yeah, fascinating. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, listeners. So, double thank you. And until we meet next time with just Nitin and me, because I think we need to regain control of this podcast. We can't give women too much power. It's a dangerous territory. But yeah, thank you so much. Until next time, this is Tony, Nisha, Shruti, and Nitin saying bye. Say bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.